Hey, it's me, Unapologetically T. I think that the last videos actually was a 3-parter. I'm going to make it 4, and it actually works out because if you think about it, it's like primary school, which is elementary school, and then you got secondary, which is middle, high school, so that's 3 parts. And then this is the 4th part. I think this is important. College. I graduated in 2008. After all of that stuff, all my life I've been told I was smart, whether it came, from church or the community or a stranger or an educator or my mother, my family. I was always told I was smart. It never went to my head. It actually kind of did the reverse thing to me. It kind of made me feel like, no, I'm not. Because I struggle with low self-esteem. So I was like, no, I'm average. And I think that's true. I think that the reason I've always felt like I'm average is because simply I am an average Jane. And I don't put myself over anyone. And I never have. It's just not my personality. I am a human being, and I've talked shit about people, and I've made judgments about people, but in all actuality, like, I literally love people and care about people, and don't think I'm better than anybody else. So when people always be like, oh, you're so smart, and my peers used to say that too, you're so smart. People used to say that, like, I used to be looking at them like, and you are too. Like, I'm not, it's not a unique thing or it's not rare. It wasn't till I have gotten grown and older that I realized, like, baby, you are... One of my friends told me this. He told me that, T, you are... He don't call me T, but he said, T, you are, for video purposes, he said, you're not the rule, you're the exception. So it makes me realize, like, you can still be average Joe, average person, but you can also be an outlier to certain things. And I think that's what would describe me. Like, I'm an outlier. Like, I do not match the statistics. Let's go outside of intellect. Like, I am not matching what society would deem my life should be by now. I have defied all fucking odds. With everything stacked against me, I have defied all fucking odds. And I am going to say thank you, God. All praises to him, because, like, had it been up to me sometimes, like, you can see, sometimes I was crashing and burning. And I think I needed to. Like, I felt like I crashed and burned after Dante died. And that was one of those crash and burns that, I didn't actively, put myself in a situation, but it was like a rebirth. And when I think of crash and burn, that's what I think of. I think this new generation call it, like, y'all think of like an actual physical death. I'm thinking like of a rebirth, destroying everything and building it back up. And so yes, I do not match the statistics at all, and that's a fact. So statistic wise, I should have been... Well, I meet the single parent, but that's an anomaly that I have fucking like slam dunk. Like, yes, I'll take your single parenthood and I'll raise you 100,000 and in debt and student loan debt. And I looked at it like I don't regret it, because I would much rather have 100,000 in student loan debt than to have stayed at home and sat on the couch and wished I would have. There are, and I don't say that in a downing way, like, there are so many women who have sacrificed their dreams to be stay-at-home moms or to be moms, period, and like work all the time. And work not just one job, but 2 jobs, sometimes 3, I've heard. So I'm not knocking anybody. What I am saying is that I wasn't gonna take no for an answer. Like, I literally did college the way I did college because I didn't want to be a statistic. I felt that if I would have took a break, something might would have came up where I didn't want to return back to school. So you can thank fear of being a statistic and being what I saw in my neighborhoods and growing up, actually being a fuel to my fire. So fear of failure, fear of being a nobody, fear. And I'm not saying that people who decide to be at home, I'm thinking severely about what I saw growing up. So not just being a stay-at-home mom. There's some people that's a hard job. But I've watched women lose their own identity, their own selves, and their kids. I did it. But I still kept my dream. And so I'm thankful for that. College was a dream of mine, but there were points, I've talked about this in the past, where like I was going to drop out. I was going to drop out before my friend died in a car accident. I was going to drop out before I got pregnant with my daughter. Those were two factors that pushed me to carry on. And then my sister died, and that just solidified it. It was like, you gonna do this. You gonna do this. That's why I don't think anything was able to get in the way of that. Like, getting pregnant wasn't able to get in the way with that, because I made this deal with myself that I was going to do this. Do I feel like I took the hard way? Yes. There are plenty of times I could have asked for help, that had resources that I just either did not realize were accessible to me, or did not have the tools in my toolbox to speak up and say I need help. Definitely mental health took a toll. I dealt with postpartum, and I never took a break from school. Like, when I say that shit, like, I mean that shit. Like, you can look at my transcripts and see I never took a break from school. But one summer, and guess why the fuck I took a break? God himself sat me down and was like, you gonna have to take care of you or you gonna die. And that was an emergency gallbladder surgery. And when I say I got the best rest, because like after I had a baby, I did not get rest. I have not slept the same since I had a child, and sleep just been fucked up, and it just got worse after like trauma from Dante and the mental health nervous breakthrough stuff. It just got worse. But I got the best sleep after that surgery in the hospital. Like, that was my first break. My first break from school, from my kid. Like, if me and my sister were still talking, she could vouch for this. Like, I cried when I had to spend the night away from my daughter. Like, she had came into town, and she would tell people this story all the fucking time, and she used it as embarrassment, but like, that's a testament to my motherhood. But like, I was going through postpartum. Like, I had this fear of me having to get rid of one child, and me putting all this pressure on myself that I had to be the best mom because I'm getting a second chance. That doesn't mean that I wouldn't have been a good mom, or I wouldn't have finished school had these fears not existed. It just meant that it accelerated and put a certain amount of pressure on me that I would not have had the trauma not happen. But back to the elements of actual education, this is where real education started to kick back in again. So, like I said, my mom was my first teacher. I learned about segregation and all that stuff from her and her real life experience, which I feel like a primary source from a word of mouth person is the best thing popping, smoking. If they were alive during that time period, get their perspective, because you're gonna get some truth. So, and who better to trust than someone you know? So I would say that I was getting history from my mom through her stories, and I don't even think she was aware of that. But once I got to college, the veil was lifted, and all the bullshit they taught us in the books about how, I think, like, I remember Like we used to say Indian giver, because we were taught that the Native Americans gave the land to the colonizers and they took it back. First of all, if you know Native Americans and what they stand for, they already tell you that this land is not for sale. No one can own this land. This is just, it's free. It's for everyone. So who are the real weak colonizer givers? Sounds more right and more accurate. So there's a lot of veils lifted. Being taught in school that, oh my gosh, Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. Half motherfucking truth. Half fucking truth. Yes, he did free the slaves, but could you tell us why? He ain't free no slaves because he wanted to free no fucking slaves. Tell us why. Tell us why. I learned from a white man why. A white man taught me why. A white man in college taught me why. And Abraham Lincoln freed slaves because he knew it would fucking cripple the South, because that was the South's main source of fucking money. And that was the whole point, to build an industrialized society and pay people little of nothing so that they could get paid more. So it's just basically like what we're going through now. It's like slavery with a little shit sprinkled icing and a cherry on top. So like when I learned history in school, even though I had some awesome educators who would help out in that, like giving me books and stuff like that, I learned a lot of the nasty truths about American history, world history. Yeah, like I learned that war is never fought because someone is disrespected. Like we're taught, oh, the Taliban ran into the towers, but people, they don't fight wars because of disrespect. They fight wars because of relative gain. So what do I stand to gain if I fight this war? Because you can't just assassinate a leader if you feel disrespected, which that happens. That happens a lot in Africa if you're paying attention. If you don't do as they say, you disappear. So I learned a lot in college. This is why I advocate and back college for certain people. I advocate and back college for people who actually love learning, who actually are into academia, who actually want to know certain truths, who actually want to, be great at their certain topics or interests in life and all that stuff. I think that college is very valuable and important for that. I think that if you wanted to go to someone, you would typically want someone who studied. That's what college was not designed for. College was definitely designed to gatekeep. So it's to gatekeep and keep certain people out and certain people in, and then we created our own colleges, and then just that's the private school. Private school started off of racism. It started off of segregation. Like, well, you gonna integrate these schools? Like, can you pay to get in these ones? It's private. I can do what I want. So there's a lot of racist connotations to education. And I get to talk about college because college, it does a special unveiling of this if you go to the right college. If you go to the right college, you will start to see the ugly truths that'll piss you off first, and then you'll start to put action behind trying to make this place a better place. At least one person at a time. And I say that because I think you should start with yourself and then try to help others. That's just my experience. And I think I would know because I was trying to save everybody else but me. So I learned so much. I would never regret my college experience. However, I have met people who are so freaking intelligent without college simply because they read books, simply because they research stuff. And college is just a place that holds you accountable to do so. College is a place that said that, you did what you were supposed to do to be knowledgeable in this field. That is all college is saying. So my experience in college, though, imposter syndrome again. It was just like going to the suburban school out in the county. And when I got there, I did not know how to study because, like I said, I put no effort. When you want to say underachiever for school, I had became that. Like, I did not care. Some people call it lazy. I just call it a stunted growth. Someone snuffed my light out for education. Like, my fire was not lit. So by the time I got to college, like, the fire was burnt out. I did not know my purpose, why I was there, why I deserved to be there. I didn't feel like I did deserve to be there. The advisor that I had, there was such a disconnect. She was a white woman, and I was in biology at that time, and I remember her, more preaching to me. First of all, it was like such a transactional situation. When I first met her, it was like, oh, these are the classes you should take. It was not about what were my interests, who was I, none of that. It was like, these are the classes you should take, and here's some instructions on how to sign up. Email me if you need my help. And then I think when my first semester and I didn't do well. Okay. To be fair, I worked 2 jobs. I was working at Greyhound at night. I worked at Stride Rite during the day sometimes, because I did kind of part-time with Stride Rite. But I did full-time with Greyhound. So I was working graveyard shift. It was 11 to like a 7 type deal. And I did that. Baby, I partied. I'm not gonna lie, I ain't gonna hold you. I partied. I was a drinker, underage drinking at that. I'm sorry. Don't do what I do. Learn from me. Be better. Be better than me. But I did. I think I'm happy I did, though. Like, because my family struggled with alcohol addiction on both sides. Like, my dad and my mom dealt with that. And my grandfather had an uncle. It's just, like, 2 uncles. It runs in the family. Like, I don't know, but I definitely always had that fear, though, like, because I hated seeing it when I was growing up. But I always had that fear, but it turned out I would go to college, and I would get so drunk that I learned my limits. No, I ain't learned my true limits until after college. That's a story that I have been holding back. It's a weird one, and I'm ready to tell the truth about it, the whole truth, the part I played, and yeah, that one was a weird one. Sexual abuse again. But and I don't blame the alcohol. I blame myself. And I also felt like had a friend really cared, it wouldn't happen. But I made my choice too. Or did I? Because I was inebriated. So, I don't know. I made the choice to drink. So, I did do that. But, let's see. Let's see. That just took me somewhere. So, let's get back on track. Yeah, I drank a lot. I was on bathroom floors because, that's the coolest place. I was safe. I didn't drive drunk because of what had happened. But I will say I didn't stop until that happened. But before it happened, and I did have some instances where I had broke the law and endangered myself and others. Because I do remember one time I had to even pull over on the side of the road. Like, I have been a villain in this lifetime. Like, that I have been. Frontal lobe undeveloped, I've been a villain. Frontal lobe developed, I've been a villain. So when I tell stories about other people, I have done some fucked up shit. And I'm just letting the stuff flow out naturally, what I've done. But partied a lot, worked a lot, did barely anything for class. Didn't know how to study, showed up to lecture, felt like womp. Even in subjects that I actually liked. Just womp. Because I didn't know how to study. Didn't know how to take notes. Once again, these are skills that I feel like if a student is doing college prep, they will need to know. You would think that, I would have needed it in high school, but I just simply didn't. High school materials was enough that I had photographic memory. I had a great memory, period, point blank. And then there was a small setting for a class. You take being in those small settings, having a certain skill set for memory and needing to know what to do for these set of classes was easier. Being in lecture halls that are hundreds of students, the professor is not making connections with you all. Like, you literally have to go make the connections with them, which I didn't do at all. So like when I didn't understand something, I didn't stay after class or go to office hours, and I didn't even read the syllabus, because what was that? Like, I didn't, I think I heard a syllabus, but I didn't know that, like, this is the blueprint for the class. And so I had to learn a lot, and it wouldn't be until I met Cynthia through her brother, and she was starting to tell me about, like, how she regretted her experiences of dropping out of college, and how I had, opportunity that was good. Then I remember my male best friend, his sister, she used to always tell me too, when I would see her or talk to her, like, you got an opportunity. And like, I'm just hearing all these times that I have an opportunity. And I'm telling my mom, like, I was at that crossroad where it was like, I'm about to just drop out. I'm about to go to Virginia State, or I'm going to go to, I think Reynolds was return to Reynolds, because I went to Reynolds while I was in high school too. So I was like, I'm going to just go to Reynolds. It's actually cheaper. And I think it's a more intimate setting. She didn't want to hear that shit. Like, she looked at community college like it was beneath me, which I think is not. I think community college is an awesome thing. It saves money. It allows students to form these relationships with not only their peers, but their professors, which also builds confidence for once they do transfer over to a university, if they choose to take that path. So for me, it was like I was a big fish in a little pond at first. And then I was a big fish in a bigger pond amongst bigger fish, or fish the same size as me. So it's almost like I kind of view myself as your little fish, and you don't belong in this scene. And it almost got the best of me. It almost did, but like, life events happen, and it changed my viewpoint and my trajectory for sure. So, but the education from VCU, like, it was awesome. I feel like I had such a great experience at VCU. My only thing is that VCU talks about being diverse, but when I was in the programs that I was in, it was not diverse at all. It was not diverse for religious studies. It was not even for the professors. Like, it wasn't diverse for the professors. I think out of my whole time at VCU, I had 2 Black teachers, 1 male. He taught African history. And I had a Black teacher in my teacher prep program when I was in classes. And this is outside those big lecture halls. I'm talking about once you get more focused into your major. So you're taking your major classes. Not your general studies. But so once I got to that class setting, I might could see 2 or 3 people who look like me. So that was like my only complaint about my time at VCU. Like, even though it is a very diverse school, it still felt like sprinkles of us. Like, and I do say, like, we were there. We were there, but it was like we were spread it out. It wasn't like an equal distribution, if you get what I'm saying. So that's my only kind of complaint. But education wise, like, even with the teaching, like, for teaching, like, VCU's teaching program, it was definitely a top teaching program. I don't know what it is now, but it definitely deserves to be. They taught us the right way to teach. They taught us the ideal way to teach, how to be holistic with your students, but also provide education. So when I say holistic, like meeting those needs on that little pyramid. I forgot what the name of that damn pyramid was, but that's all that psychology stuff. The hierarchy, that word plus needs chart, I think. Whatever. But some white man, he created it, and I don't want to reduce him to some white man, but that's just basically how it is. He created I think I do that because I be tired of learning about white men and their theories. And I rarely get to hear about black men or women and their theories. I'm learning now more, but it's like our theories are not published. And so, excuse me if I just do stuff like that. It's dismissive. If you're picking up on it's dismissive, it is. So I'm gonna go back to where I was at. But I would say, like, they taught us that they taught us about the SOLs without being too hyper focused on them. It was taught that, you know, these are your standards. This is how you find the standards. This is how you incorporate the standards into your everyday lessons. All that stuff. So, like, they taught us classroom management, all that stuff. It was definitely great experience. I will also say I wish there was more coupling with more, like, I guess it's clinicals for like nurses and stuff, but like our in-field in the classroom time, we did do a lot, but for me, once I became a teacher, I didn't feel like we did enough. You do have student teacher, but you have a teacher observing you. Like, then once you get certified and you graduate, like, you just thrown in there by yourself, like, like, but you have no experience leading the class by yourself, like, so it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all how that's worked out, and I don't think that's a VCU problem. I just think that's how we're viewing education, period, because what we were taught in school did not align with how the system was once I got there. School taught me the right way. The actual job. Wrong. All over it. Written all over it. So yeah, the religious studies department, I brag on you. I think it's called the world studies department, but I brag on y'all all the time. That's a passion, a love, and I'm finally putting it to work. So I got to do the jail class through that. So that was like definitely a life-changing experience. Minus the fact that I picked up my partner, which I did spend 11 years of my life with. So that's a third of my life. So that was a trajectory and a part of my life that I got to get out of that. Then it's just like a wealth of knowledge I gained there. There were so many other classes that I had to take that I would have never thought I was interested in, that I was. Philosophy was one of them it was one of them. One of my philosophy classes, I loved it. The other one where we had to do, I guess it's like the foundations of philosophy, like where you have to look at the statements. I ain't like that. But when we just talking and thinking about our thinking and thinking about, like, should drugs be legal? Like, these concepts, like, I loved it because I got to learn that, like, Tylenol and Advil kills people. there were more deaths from that, and maybe even ibuprofen might be on that list. I can't remember. Don't sue me. But I do remember it was some type of medication that was over the counter that kills more people than drugs, street drugs do. Yet there is no regulation or no one stopping that drug from being passed around because it's an over-counter miracle drug. So there were some things I learned and agreed with in philosophy. Just thinking about, like, I think we even had a conversation about euthanization. Like, we euthanize pets. Why can't a human say I'm done? But then we get into religion, and that's why I don't have these conversations with everybody, because some conversations is you have to leave sometimes your beliefs out, because sometimes a passing of a law could be, it's your choice though. So like when we bring our personal beliefs into certain things, it's just like the abortion thing. Like, your personal belief and religious belief could be, no, my personal belief is I think it's wrong. I think it's morally wrong. It goes against what I believe in. However, I think it should be somebody's choice. They should have a choice on how they want to handle that. It's their body. It's their life. Raising kids is more than 18 years. My mom can vouch for that, and other mothers can too. So, yeah, it's one of those things. So that's what I liked about philosophy. It was like the ability to have a conversation, like a soft debate, about topics that are taboo or controversial, and leaving your personal shit at the door, and just having this from a philosophical point of view. So I will say VCU did a phenomenal job. One of my friends ended up teaching me how to study. Like, I can't use the example that me and her chuckle about all these years because it involves somebody, and I don't want to poke fun at people. But she taught me how to study. Once she taught me how to study, and I learned that tutoring was free, I used to take advantage of the writing center. I did tutoring so much that, like, I became a SI leader, which was like, it was tutoring, but it was on a more facilitated learning type of thing to me. Like, I feel like tutoring is like more one-on-one, but like, SI was like kind of close to if I was a teacher. Like, it was facilitating learning. And so what I would do is sit in the classroom, and which topic I loved and picked, of course, was biology. Hence, I was the previous biology major. I loved biology. So I picked biology to be a SI leader in, and my students loved me. I used to get text messages, and I even went to the movies one time. Because, I mean, even though, like, when I say my students, like, they was my peers. Like, like, we definitely, did things the right way to foster learning in them. So it was a lot of student-led studying. So basically how my friend taught me how to study, being an SI leader, like, we literally had these, like, this ring of flashcards of different modalities that we could teach a subject. So it might be get the students to draw a picture. Like, so if they wanted to learn circulation of the heart, get them to draw a picture of the heart. Y'all each go up there and maybe add a flow of which way the blood flows, which side is red, which side is blue. What does that mean? So, like, it was different ways of learning, but it was student based, and I was just there to clear up anything that let's just say one student felt like this was the right answer, another student felt like this was the right answer. I could go back to the notes or know my knowledge and be like, nope, you both wrong. If they was both wrong. But so like that's kind of like where I was there for. I was kind of there to have these activities planned, set up for them, and they participate in them. And it was just like I said, I loved taking advantage of this stuff for my own self until I got the hang of studying on my own. Because I stopped going after a while because I got the hang of it and I could do it on my own. And then once I stopped going was when I became one myself and was able to pay it forward. And so I love that job. I love that job so much. It was it was ideal for how a classroom should be. Like, here's the information. Here's an activity to foster learning, remembering. Because if you're doing, your brain is remembering. So whether you're doing is reading, writing, drawing, auditory, like, so it could be a number of ways you learn. That's another thing. Like, you learn, I learned in SI, like, you know, the different forms of learning. I learned that in teaching too. And so it can be hands-on learners, auditory. People learn through sight, which would be like readers or, you know, pictures sometimes. So people have photographic memories. Yeah, but there's different learning styles and modalities, and you should figure out which one works best for you. I can alternate. I do feel like I learn best hands-on. That's my favorite, but I can alternate learning modalities, and sometimes I get burnt out on some modalities and I switch to another one. So definitely love that experience. Wouldn't take it back for nothing. So great opportunity. Happy I took advantage of it. That was my higher education experience. I did have a fucked up situation happen to me about a teacher giving me a C, and she was my teacher and my advisor, and she gave me a C, and I actually had earned an A, and she knew that was my goal, to make straight A's, and it was a 1-credit class, and I was a peer advisor, and she gave me she gave me a B. Excuse me, I misspoke. She gave me a B in that class, and I remember that because I went up there. I was about to smack her. One of the students had. I'm happy she was there because, like, she was like, "Come on, let's take a walk." Because I think I cussed that bitch out. I do know I think I cussed her out. But she was about to, like, get these hands first. And Charlotte was with me. And I took Charlotte with me because I thought, like, you know, if you bring your child, like, you're going to see your child. And you're going to say you don't want to go to jail. But, like, she was playing with my intelligence. So I was like, I didn't see the child anymore. And that's why I don't like going to anger. Because, like, I don't know who I be when that happens. So, yeah. But I'm happy God be on my side, for real. Like, I've learned many lessons up until this point where, like, sometimes to be quick to anger is actually a form of weakness and lack of self-control. And sometimes some people need that shit. But sometimes you got to be strategic and you can't just go to full-fledged anger. But I'm human. I'm learning. But yeah, that happened. So that is one strike against an employee at VCU. But she did end up finding another position after that, shortly after. I don't think I was probably the only one that complained about her, because I did complain. And usually I let shit slide. But that I won't let it slide because, bitch, you were my advisor. And that was one of the goals we set from the first day that I